Today I'm joined by Tom Butterworth, designer and sculptor of some of the most incredible sandstone objects on earth. Tom, welcome. Let's make a ring. So Tom, I know you've got a background in carpentry, in graphic design and in fashion. Can you talk me through the beginnings of your journey as a maker with sandstone? Like, where did this all begin?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, wore a few caps, but the last one before jumping over to my practice was carpentry. And one day I was building a retaining wall, and I needed to cut into a big dirty old sandstone boulder to put one of my posts in, and in doing so had to obviously then remove that piece of sandstone, and internally on the inside it was just so like clean and beautiful, and the sun was shining on it, and it was like there was like a sparkle, and it was almost like someone was telling me to put down the nail bag and to start doing something with this material, because it was a pretty classic time, and I was holding that piece of sandstone, and I actually said to my boss, I'm going to go make something out of this. And he said, you're fucking off your head. And so, yeah, and just like, from there, just literally took that piece of sandstone home, made a candle holder for my mother out of it, and she, of course, being mum, like, was all positive about it, but then, you know, just started playing around with other ideas, and yeah, slowly evolving over time, and here I am now.
Awesome. I would love to deep dive a little bit more into that first piece you ever made with sandstone. It's such a cool story, like coming across it at the job site, taking it home with you and making something out of it. You said you made something for your mum. Can you talk me through the process, like the first time ever touching sandstone? Talk me through what the first thing you made from it was.
Yeah, so it was all obviously trial and error, fun and games. Like I mentioned, it was a candle holder. So just playing around with shaping the base first, and then I actually went down to the hardware store and picked up some little clouts to use as my candle spikes, and glued the clouts into the stone through just like a little drill bit, and then made the opening, and I don't know, not too much else from there really. Just put a couple of candles in it and handed it over to mum, and you know.
How did you get the original shape? Like, obviously you've got this slab. How did you get a candlestick out of that slab? Like, were you hammering at it? Like, talk me through the process.
Yeah. So it was just a thing of a hammer and chisel process, you know, dating back to the 1500s. But yeah, it's just hammer and chisel, and then the odd power tool here and there, but for the most part just having fun with it and enjoying using a different material, because for me it was majority just timber. So yeah, it was just exciting, just being curious as well. I feel like I've always just been curious and tried so many things. Like, honestly, I would, even like through sport and yeah, business and whatnot, I've just tried so many different things and just been so curious and always said yes. So I feel like, I guess, like jumping over to sandstone was just another part of my curious brain wanting to see what else was out there.
Yeah, and you mentioned like you're wearing a lot of hats, like you just said, you're curious about different things and you're jumping into different pursuits. As someone who's grown up on the northern beaches, surfing, fishing, with this sort of backdrop against the sandstone cliffs that you have over there, what was it that was so special about this medium? Obviously you've stuck with it now in your practice, but you would have gone through wood and graphic, all these different formats. What was it about sandstone that was so special?
I guess when I started finding out the age of it, that's when it really started to sink in just how special this material was. geologists now find it to be 250 million years old. So to be able to immerse a material like that into someone's space is something that I'm really grateful for and really fortunate for. And just the beauty of sandstone, like honestly, you know, if you want to paint or if you want a blue shirt, you know, that takes a dye, and with sandstone there's just such natural beauty in there, and it's just my job to unravel that. So you know, you get your pinks and your browns and your yellows and you know, all these amazing colours that you just can't recreate, and it's there and the mother's made it, and it's just like, it's so pretty. And like to think that each layer of stone that I'm literally working my hands with could be thousands of years old every time I put my chisel to it. So it's like, when I am creating and when I am making, it's definitely a thought that's going through my head, and that's definitely a main reason why I've stuck with it.
So there's this element of history to the stone on top of the fact that it's just got this raw natural beauty to it. Obviously you're creating objects and sculptures out of it that are going to stand the test of time. Is there part of that process when you're making something so permanent from something that's been around so long that you really love?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the whole story of it's just so, I mean, it fills my cup up. It's something that I look to immerse into my house as well. It's not just, for me, like if I'm going to go purchase something for my home, it's a handmade object. It's something that's, you know, one of a kind. It's really unique. So to bring the age of this stone plus the handmade side of it as well, to then combine those two and to immerse them into someone's space to then be passed through generations is definitely a point of view of just like yeah, I guess just like the point of the reason why I, you know, enjoy creating so much. It's I guess just like the uniqueness of it all is really special. It fills me with a lot of joy, and I hope it fills my clients with a lot of joy as well.
I bet it does. And in that way, you're also bringing some of the outdoors nature inside. Is there something about nature or the outdoors in general that you have a connection to?
For sure. I mean, without going in with too much detail, like, you know, I appreciate nature so much, and you know, before I start creating with a certain piece of stone, you know, I just show my gratitude towards it, and it's me being grateful for that piece of stone and just asking, like, let's create some magic. You know, it's like I'll have a little moment before any of my process takes place where it's just like, thank you, and just being able to work with such a beautiful material again, it's just, I feel so lucky and so grateful because you know, when I get to go up to the studio and you know, there's a beautiful piece of 250 million years old stone there ready to turn into an object that can be passed through generations, that's definitely something that fills me with joy.
In a sense as well, you're bringing the outdoors inside when these sculptures are ending up in people's homes, but they're so raw and, you know, natural. Is there something about nature that you have a particular connection to?
Nature is such a big part of my life, and like you mentioned, growing up surfing and you know, you're surrounded by sandstone cliffs, so maybe it's always been, you know, down the line in my journey to fall into creating with sandstone, the amount of hours I've been looking at it while surfing or walking across it while going for a fish off the rock. So to then have this material to work with is something I'm so grateful for, and yeah, it just excites me.
So you're starting with this initial story of, you know, seeing a rock come apart on a job site, taking it home and making a candlestick from it. How does that then roll into, formerly known as One Stone, now your sort of name brand, Tom Butterworth, and your practice and your label? Where did doing your work in sandstone become doing your work for this label or under this label?
I don't really think I had a choice. It was something that happened really naturally and really organically, which I'm again really grateful for. Honestly, I was, like I said, I was on the job site, and but whilst playing around with these sandstone creations, and then one afternoon I jumped back in my truck, and I was so sore and so fed up with being on the job site, and I dead set got on the blower to my mum, and I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I was honestly in tears, and I was like just fed up with it, and I was like, this isn't it, like this is not it. And she was just like, well, you just got to do what you like, you know, what you love, and just like give what that is a go. So yeah, from there I was like, you know, found my studio space and tried to give this practice a whirl, which looking back at now, it's pretty special.
100%.
So.
Oh, don't be sorry. It's super emotional.
Well, I haven't really spoken about that much.
That feeling like tearing up is like, it's just super raw and shows that you just care so much about what you do.
Oh, for sure.
So sick.
Just being like happy with what you're doing is just such an amazing thing. I honestly wish that upon everyone. Like, I just want everyone to be so happy and just be doing something that they're excited about, which is, I don't know, that'd be rad if everyone could say that in the world. I mean, like, I feel like even like, you know, business-wise and like mental clarity-wise, like at different points in time, the universe will sit you on your ass to figure something out, and sometimes it's way easier than like, sometimes it's really difficult, or sometimes it's sort of like an easy change. But I mean, it was a change that had to obviously be made, and I was obviously meant to be doing what I'm doing now.
So Tom, we've talked about your beginnings and inspiration. I'd love to dive a little deeper into some of the challenges and growth you've had along the way. One thing I'm really interested in knowing more about is how a maker like you, who is producing these super unique, one-of-a-kind objects, finds their audience. You know, how do you get people to choose Tom Butterworth in their homes as opposed to something off the shelf at IKEA?
I guess it's sort of, again, it happened pretty uniquely, which, again, I'm really grateful for. A lot of interior designers, as soon as they started seeing my stuff, were pretty quick to reach out. And for sure, there's been, you know, slower moments where, you know, you got to trust the universe and you got to trust the process. And you got to truly believe that, you know, you're doing exactly what you're meant to be doing. But yeah, from the initial stages, it was sort of figuring out where I sat in the market and what my pieces actually were and how they will be sort of viewed by the audience. And so straight away I jumped online to see what else out there was like mine, and pretty quickly found that there was nothing else like it. So that then gave me the idea of starting to talk to some galleries and to some more, you know, object and artifact stores. Composition Studio, who is owned by Claire Perini, was one that I initially approached, where she again took an amazing interest straight away into it and wanted pieces in her store, which then again put more eyeballs onto it through her clientele. And I guess, you know, it is quite difficult to like back yourself and walk into these galleries and walk into these sorts of stores and literally be vulnerable like that. But it was something that felt really right to me, and I guess at that moment, like really wanting this to be something that I could do full time was sort of a process that you had to take, and it's about backing yourself as well. Like, I know as a creator, like, you can always just doubt yourself so often, and for sure during slow times you question yourself whether this is exactly what you're meant to be doing. But in the end of the day, if you believe in what you're doing and are excited about what you're doing, and then there's a reason why you're doing it, and just trust that universe and flow with it, and ask it for advice, because it'll sure serve it up to you.
It must have been a relief and also a huge confidence boost to see some initial traction, people, you know, reaching out, interested in your work. Did that take a weight off your shoulders after you sort of dived into your practice full time, that hey, this was actually good work and people were keen on getting it?
Oh, for sure. One of the cooler phone calls I received in my earlier days were earlier days. It feels like I've been doing it 15 years. It's like I'm like 2.5 years in, 3 years in. I received a phone call that my pieces were going to be featured through the local project, and that phone call is just like, you know, it's one where you're like, oh, like it wasn't just me being my own hype man. Like, other people do see it as well. And then, you know, all those long, lonely hours up at the studio all of a sudden start sinking into, like, this is worth it. Like, you know, there's a lot that goes into it, but again, when you start seeing rewards like that, it definitely gives a little pep to the step, and it makes it a lot easier to get up to the studio and to make the next one.
I imagine that would feel super, super cool, getting that kind of phone call. It would have been difficult, I imagine, to go all in, you know, tools down as a carpenter, really throwing yourself into this new practice with sandstone. And it would have been a quite sharp transition from having a more stable income to then relying on your passion to drive, you know, your income as well. Has that been a challenge for you, taking something that purely would have been done originally just for fun or for the love of it, into navigating it as an occupation?
I mean, for sure. I mean, I heard someone say, like, you can fail at doing something that you don't like, so you may as well try do something that you do like, and, you know, if you come out on top, then it's even better. So, you know, failing as, you know, a carpenter or a graphic designer, or, you know, those other sort of like businesses that I have tried, you know, that's, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, if I can give it a red hot crack, and I mean, for sure there was times where, you know, you question your choices, and you're like, financially, you're like, oh, is this a stable thing? But there was no real pressure there. You know, I was grateful enough to have a supportive family where, you know, I could take those, you know, few months to sort of find my feet with what was happening, like with my practice, and then you know, to really have like a proper crack at it and just be like, you know, I could be a carpenter for the next 30 years, or I can, you know, take 12 months, 2 years, 3 years to try and give this artist designer role like a good shot. So that was the angle I decided to lean in towards, was to try and like set myself up where I could be every single day is like an opportunity to create and to love. And so that was the path I went, and there's been times where, you know, I have put pressure on myself to elevate what I'm doing and to find new avenues of, you know, to find clients or to look at new ways to bring in opportunities. But honestly, man, like, it's all been a very, very flowing process. It's all happened truly organically, and I feel like that would happen and does happen, and I reckon there would be a lot of people out there that would say when they you know, took that shot, trusted the universe and started doing what they love, then doors started to open.
Yeah, it almost feels like your passion has kind of carved out all of the opportunities for you, and it seems like it was a bigger risk to just continue on with what you were doing originally through carpentry, given how you felt about it. You've now, you know, succeeded in many eyes as an artist. You've tasted some success in this new avenue. And given the growing demand for your work, have you felt any pressure to compromise on some of the values that you originally started with when you were just getting started?
That's a good one. I remember paddling out in the surf and this fellow was hitting me up about what I was up to, and he was like, so when are you going to scale your process? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, when are you going to start hiring people and start making more units? And I was like, nah. I was like, I'm happy making 20, 30, 40 pieces a year and keeping it at that. And he was like, yeah, but you know, if you start making 300, 400, then you know you're tripling your what's and nots and all that. And I was like, you don't get it. I was like, I want each piece to be only touched by me. I was like, the story starts with me and it ends with me. And it's like, I offer a service where if you live in Sydney and you purchase one of my pieces, like, I want to be the person knocking on your door and installing that sculpture. I want to chat with my clients, like, how cool is it that I get to create something with my hands that takes me hours and hours and a lot of hard work, and then turn up to their space and install it into their space and see how happy they are with that finished project and see the way that it elevates their room. And so, yeah, definitely just sticking with my guns and making only a select handful a year and keeping the quantities low and the product high is something that just I'm all for, and I'll continue to be all for, and I won't be changing that about my practice.
Awesome. It's going to stay a one-man show from A to Z by the sounds of it. You know, you touching and hand making every piece, but then also getting to enjoy the payoff when you do go and deliver that to a client. Why do you feel so strongly about it being handmade by you from start to finish?
I guess because immersing something super unique into someone's space is a moral of mine. I mean, to be able to, you know, hand make these pieces that are one of a kind and will forever be one of a kind, and hopefully be enjoyed by, you know, not only for the next 10 years, not only the next 100 years, but, you know, a few hundred years down the track is something I'm really passionate about. And I personally really enjoy when I go into a space and I see something that I've never seen before, and there's a story behind that art, like that object or that, you know, sculpture or what it may be, instead of, you know, something that's been mass made, and you know, I might walk into a cafe down the road and then walk into the shop next door and they've both got the same piece, and it's like, well, you know, for me that doesn't fill my cup up. There's no story behind it, there's no love involved in it. It's a pop out that's been made offshore. It's been sent over here, and there's thousands of them flooding the market, and it's a quick time that it's actually going to be appreciated, and then it's going to be in landfill, because those sorts of pieces are just made to, you know, only be in fashion for a certain period of time, where I know for a fact that my clients are just so in love with the product that I deliver to them, and it's something that they're really proud of, which is really cool for me.
But I think, hearing you talk about it and your passion for it, it's no wonder that other people feel so strongly about what you're doing as you do. I'm sure there would have been tons of challenges along the journey. Can you talk about how they might have shaped you and your current practice?
Lots of challenges, lots of trial and error. Like mentioned earlier, tried a lot of things and they weren't quite for me, but super grateful for every single thing that I said yes to and had a crack at, because, you know, even though they might not have been exactly it for me, they all taught me a certain skill or a certain lesson, which I now wouldn't be able to be doing my practice without, whether it would be, you know.
Yeah, can you talk me through some of those different skills that you picked up along the way that you're now using?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, like we've touched on, I was a carpenter, so without that craftsmanship and knowledge for tools and there's no way I'd be able to be doing what I'm doing now. And then, you know, I opened a cafe and got a bunch of business knowledge just through that. So again, obviously wasn't meant to be for me, but it was a cool thing to give it a go, and took a lot of lessons from that. And then, you know, graphic design, without my graphic design background, I wouldn't be able to build my own websites, I wouldn't be able to do my own branding, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things that actually, you know, entail to, you know, be doing my practice now. And then, you know, photography background as well, you know, enables me to shoot a lot of my own works as well. So just saying yes to a lot of things like early on in my life, and giving things like a crack has definitely allowed me to, you know, sit in the lows and be like, that was not for me, that was sort of shit, but sort of thank you as well, to now, you know, be in this spot where I bring a lot of my skills into this one big practice, which is really cool.
I'd love to now talk more about your process and your craft. Can you talk me through how on earth you look at a big slab of stone and go from that rigid slab to one of your, you know, fluid sculptures?
Yeah. It's funny. I wish I had a full epic answer for you, but I don't. It's honestly just like, I guess my brain works in a pretty creative way of, I'll see a stone, and as soon as I see that stone, I get some sort of inspiration sent to me, and I know what's going on. It's not like I sit down and draw out a bunch of sketches and, you know, put sketches to practice. It's like, I don't know, I might be surfing and an idea might hit my head, or I might be going for a run and an idea will be sent through, or I could be, walking through the city and I might see like a little glimpse of something I do like, and I'm like, oh, how can I incorporate a little bit of that? And so I don't put time and effort into planning anything out. It's just I flow with it, and I guess none of it's actually like my ideas. It's all sent from somewhere else, and I just get the privilege of putting it to action, which is pretty rad.
Along this process of idea to final product, is there a particular step along the way that you enjoy the most?
There's moments where I'll feel like I'm finished with a piece, and then we'll go away and carry on with life, and then get back to the studio and have another look at it and be like, you're not done yet. And then start chipping away again. I don't know, a lot of patience goes into this practice. It's not just an overnight thing or a weekly thing or a monthly thing. There's months poured into pieces where it's not there to be rushed, it's not there to be popped out, it's there to be made with patience and made with love and made with care. And if it takes an extra couple of weeks to finish a piece, so be it. You might think you're finished, but then you will come back a fresher human and realise that you're not. So being able to revise it and carry on with what needs to be done is always a cool spot.
And there's a particular element of your work that I really love, and your process, I guess, it forms part of the fact that you're using upcycled sandstone, so stuff that is on a job site on its way to the tip or to be crushed, that you are almost saving and then making into these sculptures. Can you talk me through why that's important to you?
Again, just like touching on the age of it, it's like if you can create something out of material so special rather than watching it getting, crushed up at the tip, for me it's a no-brainer. It's like, let's create something beautiful before you get destroyed. And it's like literally other ends of the spectrum. It's like you could have just been dust, or now you're going to be a piece of art that can be enjoyed for years and years and years. Yeah, that's super special, and I think your whole work is characterized by this really organic flow, and you're taking bricks or blocks that have such rigid structure to them, which is why I think I'm so fascinated by your practice of making everything flow so well. Where did that kind of style originate from? I don't know, honestly I do not know, but I do remember Alan Watts saying if you were to jump in an aeroplane and fly over the jungle, and you were to see like your perfect square or your perfect circle, that's been man-made. It's not a natural element, it's not a natural material. So I feel like that's, I do go back to that phrase quite a bit, but, or that quote, but yeah, I don't know, just the stone itself is, all the bands through it, the bands aren't straight, or they're not square, or they're not circle. They've all got this beautiful flow, and if you can imagine the way those bands have settled over time, it's through water and it's through different minerals. So it's like this ever-flowing path that I look to continue. I don't like to get all square and straight and whatnot, because that's not the way that it's settled over all those millions of years. It's settled through a fluid form. So yeah.
You would have worked on a ton of different projects now. Is there one that sticks out in your mind as something that you particularly enjoyed finishing or producing?
Yeah, there's a biggie. It's the biggest sculpture I've produced. It was the Carinya piece. It was external garden bed sculpture, where they had to be craned in by separate pieces, which is always super daunting, watching 6 months of hard work being lifted, you know, meters in the air, dangling on a couple of ropes was pretty intense, and at times had my heart in my throat. But yeah, the feeling of completing that sculpture and the installation day itself was just mammoth. And yeah, hopping back in my car and driving home from that, it was dark by the time I was getting in my car, was definitely a very special feeling. And just walking away from that, knowing that, you know, I put everything that needed to go into that piece. I didn't cut any corners. It was, you know, it was from A to Z, a lot of hard work, but a lot of fun. And when you see that finished piece in someone's space, it was someone's front yard. Actually, it was pretty special.
Okay, so we've gone over the beginnings and inspiration, challenges and growth, and dived into your process and your craft. I'd love to now just touch on the lessons and the learnings. So can you talk to me about what inspires you now? We've covered your origin story and what sort of was the initial inspiration for your work. What continues to inspire the things you do now?
Beauty, aesthetics, nature, yeah, all of those elements come into a beautiful collision and light me up every day. Just knowing that I can create something that can be passed through generations just excites me so much. Working with a natural material excites me a lot. Working with a natural material that could have gone to waste excites me a lot. Making a one-of-a-kind object excites me a lot. Yeah, I'm just inspired to continue to produce these objects in the design world that just haven't been seen before. So that's really exciting.
Is there an Australian maker that you particularly love at the moment?
There is. She's very talented. We have collaborated together for one piece that now lives in LA. Her name is Lana Lanau. She is ridiculously talented. She creates lampshades, but they're not just lampshades. That doesn't really do them justice. They are incredible objects and yeah, very talented.
Awesome. So we talked about the starting point, we talked about the journey. I'm desperate to know where you see your practice next. You know, what's next for you and everything you're doing.
I'm really excited to tap into the design world. At the moment, I'm working on creating pieces that, you know, again, they will be one of a kind because I can't hand create two of the same bases or whatnot, but I will be putting together a catalogue where you can order, you know, that style of table or that style of lamp, but they will have their own touch. So yeah, just looking to tap into the design world, which is really exciting. I'll have 3 styles of tables where I now incorporate glass as their tops. So that will be an option for people over the next few months. And then I've got a solo show at Harkay on the 3rd of May, which is really exciting. I've been working really hard towards that, which is, yeah, something that I've sort of been keeping under wraps in some sense. I haven't posted too much about it or told a whole bunch of crew, but that's really exciting. That's going to be a full new view of what I've been working really hard on. I've also been using the pigments that have been coming off my workings, and have been applying those pigments to canvas and have been painting with them. I've been mixing it with a natural oil which works as a binder. I remember hearing someone say that one of the major microplastics in the ocean are due to paint. So that really got me thinking about, you know, how I can you know, change this a little bit, or like, first of all, my initial beginnings on some of my pieces is through a wet saw, and I'd always see these beautiful colours coming out through the water of workings. So I was always like, how can I take that and put it to canvas? And so I've slowly been working at that and have found a really cool process where that's now achievable, which is really cool to be painting with such, again, old minerals and putting that onto canvas. So just a 3D area of my practice now, having the paintings and the sculpture and then the design as well. So
yeah, and it's special that they're all talking to each other in that way, that they're connected. I think you've done so much cool stuff already. There seems like there's so much cool stuff on the way. I can't wait to see it all. Tom, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
thanks for having me. I'm excited to wear my ring with a lot of enthusiasm.